I climbed a spider's web to heaven. Recently, there was an article in the newspaper about a parent who starved their young child to death. This reminds me of an experience where I was driven to the brink of starvation. I may be muscular now, but I do daily stretching exercises, abdominal and back exercises, and jogging, but as a child, I was frail and had to be rushed to the university hospital many times. Then, just before I started kindergarten, I must have been about 4 years old. My mother had me, who was frail, a 1-year-old sister, and a baby brother in her womb. I guess her relationships with my father and grandmother were not going well either. My mother had no family home to rely on. In this situation, my mother probably became neurotic and started neglecting her housework. Piles of laundry. It seemed like she hadn't cleaned in over a month, and the room was full of trash and fluff. It was even more painful for me as a 4-year-old to not have meals prepared for me than it was to have to do the laundry or clean. My mother still has a tendency towards autism, but it's impossible to expect a 4-year-old to understand how my mother feels. My father would go out to eat and drink after work, and go straight to bed when he got home, so he probably didn't notice. My younger sister was a baby, so maybe she could have been nursed. On the first day, I kept asking my mother, "Mom, where's the food?" But she wouldn't prepare anything. I had no choice but to play with wooden karuta cards. On the second day, I kept asking my mother, "Mom, I'm hungry." But she ignored me and just nursed my baby sister. I was so hungry that I drank water from the tap to stave off the hunger. It was around this time that my stomach started growling. That was the moment I thought, this is what stomach bugs are like. On the third day, I would just sit and lean against the wall, saying, "I'm hungry," and I no longer had the energy to get up. In the kitchen, I could hear my mother munching away. I wonder what her face must have been like when she sensed my presence. Little by little, I felt like I was losing consciousness. My stomach started growling violently. I probably didn't go to the bathroom that day. On the fourth day, my stomach finally stopped growling. I was just a 4-year-old who just slept. Around noon, my grandmother came in and saw me, and asked my mother, "Are you feeling sick again?" But she didn't reply. Grandma said, "HMPH, you've saved up so many diapers," in a surprised tone, and left carrying a mountain of my sister's dirty cloth diapers. On the fifth day, my father went to work in the morning, saying, "What's wrong? Is the child not feeling well? Take him to the doctor." It was evening that day. I will never forget it. As I lay in bed, a small, long-legged spider walked right in front of me. Perhaps the spider was a messenger from heaven. My mother had bought a cone-shaped loaf of bread, called a manashiki, at a nearby bakery and was munching on it. I looked at her with blank eyes, and she asked, "Are you going to eat some too?" I don't remember how I got to her side. The next day, I found myself desperately biting into the bread. That's what vitality is all about. The next day was Sunday, and my father was at home all day. Perhaps this experience is the reason why I eat everything, without being picky. Even now, when I see a small, long-legged spider, I remember those days.